Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you guys how to make a really cool wallpaper like you can see here in Blender 2.83. So, in Blender, let's press A to select everything, and then X to delete everything. So now that everything's deleted, let's press Shift A to add a cube, and then this will be one of these cubes right here, or this one, whichever one. And then after that, you want to go into edit mode by pressing Tab, and then you want to give it a bevel so it doesn't, right now it looks very sharp, so let's make the edges a little rounder. So you can do that by adding a bevel, press Tab to go into edit mode, and then press Control B, and then you can make it smoother. You can use your scroll wheel and scroll up to give it more cuts, that way it looks even more smooth. So I'm going to confirm that, and then I'll go back into object mode by pressing Tab again, and so now I have this, it looks pretty bad right now. So one way you can make it look better is by right clicking and then press shade smooth. That way it is even more smooth. So then that looks pretty good for one of the cubes. So what we want to do now is duplicate it along this x-axis. So you can do that by going to the modifiers tab right here, the wrench, and then click add modifier and pick an array modifier. This will just multiply it. So if we change the count, we can change the amount of cubes. I'm going to go with something like 20. And then right now the cubes have no spaces in between them, so let's add some by going to the offset. Right now the offset's at 1. So if we change it to something a little over 1, like 1.02, then we can get a little space in between the cubes. So now we have it along the x-axis, so let's do it along the y-axis. So you have to add another array modifier, and then after that, that'll be this one. Change the count to 20 again, and then this time, you can see how it's going, it keeps extending along the x, so that's because of this offset right here. If we close this, if we make this 0, then, and make this one, which is a y-axis value, the same value, 1.02, then we get this whole plane of cubes right here. So then, what we want to do is apply both modifiers, and then right now, you can see that this whole thing is a huge object. You can't actually select one cube at a time. So that's an issue because over here you can see some cubes are taller than others. So let's go into edit mode and then press P to separate, and then you can separate by loose parts. Then you can see each of these cubes is its own object. So now let's give the cube some color. If you open this thing up here and then make this a shader editor, and then let's change our view here to look dev. So you want to give it a new material, and then you can change the base color to like this, and then go here and then press new and change this to something else. You could do that to get these random colors that you see here, or the easier way is, let me undo all of that. The easier way is to add in an object info node and then a hue saturation node. So the random data from this object info will go into the hue, and the color will go into the color. Then you can change this color to anything, and then you can see how it makes a random value. Right now it's at red, but it's showing green, so it's random. So now we want to make all of these have the same material. You could click every cube and then go to here and select that material, or what you could do is select everything, but you want to make sure that the one, and then we're going to try to copy the materials onto it, but you want to make sure the one that the materials are on, which is this one, is your active selection, meaning that it should be highlighted in yellow. You can see all these cubes are highlighted in orange, and that one is too. So let's select that one first and then press A. Then this one's highlighted by yellow while the rest are orange. So then you can press Control L, and then after that click materials. That will copy the materials over. So now we have this pretty nice looking thing. So if you change the color of this, then you can get a different pattern of random colors. I'm just going to leave it at something like here. And then what we want to do now is give it a little bit of gloss. So we can do that with the roughness over here. If you lower the roughness to 0, you can see it becomes like really shiny. And if you make it at 1, then it becomes like clay. So I'm going to leave it at something really low, like 0.1 or 0.5. And then after that, I might want to make it a little metallic. So I'm just going to raise the metallic value a little. And then that looks pretty good. So now what we want to do is, we got the cubes and the colors, but what we want to do is make some of them taller than others. So then let's click out and deselect everything. I'm actually going to lower my metallic. And then we can close this as well. So click select and then select random, and that will select random cubes, and then you can press S to scale, and then Z to scale on the Z, and make these cubes a little higher. So then let's deselect everything, and select random again, and then scale those on the Z. So now you can see there's a difference in height. I'm going to do that a couple more times so it looks a little more interesting and more random. And then after that, I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking. So now let's set up our camera and our light. So if we go into cycles, you can see everything's dark. But first, let's add in our camera. So Shift A, and then press camera. And then if you press Control Alt Numpad 0, you snap the camera to your view. So then let's arrange the camera to somewhere like here. This looks pretty good. I'm actually gonna do this one more time. Oops, I can't see. It's too much noise. Oh, so when I did select random just now, it selected the camera on accident. So if we just click that, we'll deselect it. Then we can scale these on the Z again. So now, I'm pretty happy with this. So now let's add a light. So if you Shift A, light, spotlight, and then grab it up, and then grab it a little over here maybe, and grab it a little higher, and then you don't see anything happening, probably because the light's too dark. It's only at 10 watts. So let's make this 1,000. That still does nothing, so let's make it 10,000. Okay, that looks good. So then, if I grab it and then press Shift Z so it doesn't go any higher, I can move it back here. And then I'll move it even higher, so there's a bigger ring of light. And then I also want to make it so that these cubes over here, they're like completely dark. Right now they're a little gray because the world is gray. So let's go to our world properties and then go to the color and make this a little darker. Then you can see the cubes are darker too. So I want to scale my light up so that the shadows are softer. And then grab it up even more, and then even make it brighter, like 15,000. Okay, that looks perfect, I think. So let's press F12 to render it out and see how that turns out. So one thing I'm noticing is that it looks a little too dark. So we can easily fix that by just making the light have a higher value. Other than that though, I'm pretty happy with it. So if I go to Blender, make the light something like 20,000, that should be perfect. Press F12, and then the lighting looks pretty good, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. So I think we're done. Thanks for watching.